Hey everybody, I'm Maddie or Madison, either one really goes. We're going to get started here in a minute. I'll reintroduce myself once we get some more people in here. Just want to give people a few minutes to get in and get settled. In the meantime, I'd really love to hear where everybody's tuning in from. Let's test out the question box. Tell me where you're joining from. All right, Dayton, Ohio, Texas, love Texas. Oh, York, PA, I'm really close to there. I'm in Philadelphia. Manhattan, Kansas? Is that what KS? I didn't know there was a Manhattan other than New York. Blue Ridge, Georgia, Memphis, got another Texas. Oh my gosh, we're all over the place. Frisco, Texas, Ocean Isle Beach, North Carolina. Love that. Texas, Texas, Texas. My gosh. We've got Boca Raton in Florida. Oh, lovely. Must be beautiful this time of the year. Melbourne, Florida. Oh, interesting. Hollywood, Florida. Kansas. Oh, thank you for clarifying, Deanna. Toronto. Oh, welcome from Toronto. We got a couple Torontos in here. Very nice. Great city. I love it. Just coming in from all over the place. Thank you so much. I'm glad that our question box is working. And I think with that, we're going to get started. I have a ton of great stuff for you guys today. I want to make sure that we cover everything. So let's get rolling. Thank you so much for joining me today. Again, I'm Maddie or Madison, really either one goes. And I want to chat with you guys about how top Google ads are getting seen and what changes you can make on your own Google ads to get them in front of the key audiences in your industries. I'm going to kick things off with a couple of housekeeping items for everyone on here today. I just want to note that this will be recorded, so you don't have to worry about taking any notes. Don't have to worry about taking any screenshots. You'll get all the materials in your inbox soon after the webinar ends, and that includes a copy of the slides and a recording. Also, please note that all of our webinar recordings can be easily found on the WordStream and LocaliQ YouTube channels. The handles for those will be in a couple of slides, so you'll have that as well. The reason why I have you all practice using the question box is I want you to feel comfortable typing in there throughout the webinar. Doesn't matter when a question arises in your head, just pop it in there and we'll address it later on during the Q&A session. You've attended any of our past webinars, you know that the Q&A sessions are super unique and super helpful. It's a great time to maybe cover some things that we didn't get a chance to cover throughout the webinar. Just a little introduction on who LocaliQ is. Some of you might be already working with us, and that's wonderful. And some of you might be totally new, and that's great too. If you're familiar, you'll already know where we're coming from. But so sorry, I lost my train of thought. LocaliQ is how businesses like yours attract and retain the ideal customers, and WordStream is our thought leadership piece of the puzzle. One thing we're super proud of is we're a premier partner with all of the major advertising platforms. This isn't just something granted to any marketing platform out there. It's really only given to businesses that display clear campaign success for their customers, displayed through thought leadership within the field, and meet a rigorous set of requirements for each of those platforms. So if you're already working with us, you know the benefits of that. And if not, just another reason to check us out. A little bit about me. Hi, for the third time. I'm Maddie. I've got nearly a decade of experience in marketing and sales enablement, as well as a master's degree in digital marketing. I am the content manager for USA Today Network and Local IQ, and I'm based out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I'd love to stay in touch and answer any questions you guys have that I maybe can't cover through the Q&A session today. So feel free to link up with me on LinkedIn, and I'll be in touch. This is where I mentioned our YouTube channels, as well as all of our other social media channels, and obviously the websites that you can connect with us through. Um, Give us a shout. We're very engaged on those channels, so we'd love to have you around. Okay, kicking things off with a pop quiz. I know we love those. I hope we're not invoking terrible memories from elementary school when you walk in, your teacher says pop quiz. This will be fun. Um, our question, when Google evaluates your ad for placement, what do you think it prioritizes the most? You might think budget, maybe website design, or brand reputation. Again, take advantage of that question box. I'd love to hear it. Oh no, I heard. Okay, I is my audio in and out still? Can you guys hear me? Everybody can hear me okay? I can't tell. Chris, me. Give, give me 1 second, guys. Just make sure that everybody can hear me. Okay, it looks like I'm good on audio. Thank you so much for your patience here, guys. Back to the question. Let's take a look at some answers. Um, a lot of people saying budget. A lot of people saying relevancy, ad strength, keywords. That's a really good guess. Quality score. That'll be important. So keep that on the top of your mind. Um, so it's actually predicted user behavior. Google's system is constantly estimating how likely a user is to click on your ad compared to others in the auction. That prediction feeds expected CTR, and CTR require or CTR feeds quality score, and quality score actually influences ad rank. It's about the system that predicts users will respond how they were. Oh my gosh, how they will respond to your messaging, and that's where structure starts to matter. As you can see, we'll dive a little deeper into that and a lot more today. We've got a lot to cover. I know it only has 4 sections in here, but we've got 8 great patterns that win placement to go over with you, and a lot of great tips on how you can win placement as well. Let's dive in first on what the problem is here with visibility. Search advertising has become a lot more competitive over the last few years. I don't think that's a secret, right? There are a ton more advertisers. It's much more automated, the whole process from top to bottom, and AI has made it so much easier than ever to generate ads at scale. But the actual space on the search results page hasn't changed at all, meaning more advertisers are competing for the same limited visibility, and that makes placement way harder to earn. Every performance outcome we care about, think like clicks or calls, leads, revenue, obviously that's super important. They sit behind one gate. Before any of those things can happen, your ad has to be seen. If you don't earn placement, nothing downstream really matters, right? Visibility is the prerequisite to everything else in the funnel. One thing we see constantly is that optimization effort tends to concentrate at the very end of the funnel. Businesses like to spend a lot of time analyzing conversion rates, tweaking landing pages and improving lead handling, which are all super important, but um, they only really impact the traffic that you can actually receive. What's often missing is systematic optimization of the top of funnel mechanics, the factors that determine whether or not potential customers make it to your landing page. And a big part of the reason this top of funnel layer matters more now is because the environment has gotten significantly more competitive. AI has made it easier for advertisers to generate ads at scale, and automation has increased participation in auctions. Oh my gosh, sorry guys. The amount of space on the SERP hasn't changed at all. Like I said, it's the same amount of space when you go onto a Google page. Nothing has really changed. It looks pretty much the same. So now we have one simple reality that we're all kind of operating out of, and that's more competition competing for the same amount of space. One common assumption that we see in paid search is that budget determines placement. Whoever bids the most wins. But Google's system is a little bit more nuanced than that. Ad rank is calculated both using bid and quality score, which includes expected click-through rate, relevance, landing page experience, all of that. So visibility isn't just a budget decision, it's more so a structural one. And for advertisers, this is where things start to get complicated. That's why many businesses rely on tools or data or partners like LocaliQ who build campaigns based on patterns that are observed across millions of campaigns like we've seen. One of the biggest factors inside quality score is expected click-through rate. Google systems are constantly predicting how likely users are to click one ad compared to another in the same auction. So that prediction is heavily influenced by messaging. And messaging isn't just creative, it's an essential visibility lever. The way your ad is structured can influence whether Google believes it's likely to earn engagement and therefore whether it earns placement. Most advertisers are very disciplined about optimizing mechanics of their campaigns. They test their bids, refine keywords, SEO is super important, adjust budgets, a lot of important stuff there. But it often comes at the expense of closely auditing the messaging itself, specifically how ads are constructed. In other words, do our ads actually resemble the kinds of ads that are already winning placement? Extremely common to consider creativity when it comes to ad messaging. We're all kind of trying to stand out and be trendy. But we're asking a different question here at LocaliQ. We looked at the ads already earning placement and asked what patterns are we seeing here, right? What's repeating ad after high performing ad? Because of Google systems are predicting engagement, then the ads consistently appearing in top positions are likely sharing similar structural trends. And that's what we set out to determine in our most recent study. So to explore that, like I said, we analyzed 180 ads that consistently earned top placement. We looked specifically for patterns, structural elements that appear again and again, and ads that are winning. Because those patterns tell us a lot about Google systems and how they're predicting engagement today. To do this analysis, we looked at several structural elements inside these ads that included things like word frequency, messaging themes, CTA usage, formatting, as well as signals around positioning and automation. Remember, we weren't evaluating on what sounded good. Something that rolls off the tongue might sound nice, but it might not be winning the way that we wanted to based on how it's built. When something appears once, it might be a preference, but something appearing repeatedly is rarely random. When it appears hundreds of times across unrelated advertisers, it suggests behavioral reinforcement. So from this analysis, we were able to pick up on 8 clear patterns. Some relate to specific words that appeared frequently, others related to how ads position value, build trust, or guide action. And a few patterns are surprisingly structural, things like formatting choices or punctuation, which really surprised me personally. So what we're going to do next is walk through each of these patterns and look at what they reveal about how highly visible ads are built. Each one highlights an element that we've been talking about that appears repeatedly in ads already earning placement, and together they give us a clearer picture of what may be influencing visibility today. Kicking things off with pattern number one, it's surprisingly simple. The word today appeared more than any other word, which is super interesting because it isn't a product feature or a price signal, it's just a timing signal. And timing plays a big role in how users respond to ads. When we extracted word frequency across headlines and descriptions, today ranked number one in both. It appeared 230 times across 180 ads. More than call, more than free, more than now. You can see that it dominates both headlines and descriptions. That tells us something important. Urgency isn't peripheral, it's central, it's integral. Here's an example of how it plays out in practice. In this Carvana ad, the word today appears directly in the headline. Car loan today. It's big, it's bold, it's right there. That small wording choice signals that the outcome isn't hypothetical, it's available immediately. It subtly shifts the mindset from passive research to present tense action. So why does today show up so often? I covered it a little bit, but to break it down more simply, it signals availability, as in you can do this right now, today. Second, it reduces delay psychology. It removes performance to postpone. And it also aligns with how high intent searchers behave. When someone searches for car insurance or a car loan, they're usually not casually browsing. They're looking to act immediately. And today mirrors that urgency back to them. The second major pattern that we found was trust language. Beyond urgency, top ranking ads consistently include credibility signals, words and phrases that reduce perceived risk. These are not decorative adjectives, they're reassurance. They're a way to not only pull people in, but keep people engaged and build trust. Looking at power words, you can see a mix of urgency and credibility. Words like trusted, certified, safe, affordable show up repeatedly. These words signal legitimacy. They reassure the user that this advertiser is credible, qualified, low risk, worth looking into. And here's a really good example of that. Phrases like fully licensed and insured immediately signal legitimacy and professionalism. For a service like plumbing, where the user needs to trust someone coming into their home, those signals can be a really big difference in engagement. And trust signals shouldn't stop at the ad itself. They should continue throughout the entire experience, from ad copy to the landing page to post sale comms. That can include things like badges, certifications, awards, review ratings on the website, or even in the ad itself. When those signals stay consistent throughout the funnel, they reinforce credibility and make it easier for potential customers to take the next step. Trust is actually one of the oldest principles in persuasion. If I've got any philosophy enthusiasts in the house, Aristotle described three core persuasion drivers: ethos, pathos, and logos. Trust signals fall into ethos. They establish credibility and authority, trustworthiness. And when users trust an advertiser, they're far more likely to click. Moving along into our third pattern, we saw a consistent use of numbers. Across the data set, numbers appeared frequently and not just in discount-driven ads. They showed up in luxury, service-based, high-ticket categories as well. Advertisers across industries consistently use numbers to make key information stand out quickly, because in today's day and age, people are skimming more often than they're doing a deep dive. In fact, across all of the ads that we analyzed, which was 180 if you remember, numbers appeared 358 times. 358 times in 180 ads. That's just under twice per ad on average. That frequency tells us they're not just occasional, they're a structural feature of many high visibility ads. Taking a look at an example, this ad highlights several numbers: $5 million, 700 or 70,000 square feet, 430 feet of beachfront. Those numbers immediately communicate scale, value, specificity. They pop out. Instead of big descriptions, they also give the user concrete details that help them quickly evaluate the offer that's being presented to them. Numbers tend to work for three-ish reasons. There are a lot of other benefits, but these are the three main ones. Again, they add specificity, which makes claims feel more concrete. The more specific, the better. They increase credibility because precise information often feels more trustworthy than general language. And they create visual contrast in the search results, helping an ad stand out when users are scanning quickly. The fourth pattern we saw is the consistent use of value and quality positioning language. Highly visible ads rarely describe a service in neutral terms. Instead, they frame the offer around value and quality and expertise. These signals often help users quickly understand why a business is worth choosing over another. In analyzing the language used in top ranking ads, we saw a lot of value-focused words repeated frequently. This is luxury, quality, service, experience. They all appear in both headlines and in descriptions. These words aren't just descriptive, they're positioning signals that shape how users perceive the brand before they even click. So you're getting a feel for what the business is all about before you invest in a click. Here's a really good example of this. The headline highlights 50 years local and trusted. Those phrases immediately communicate credibility and expertise. Even before reading the description, the user understands that this business is positioning itself as reliable and established. And when ads reinforce quality or longevity, they shift evaluation criteria. Instead of asking, is this the cheapest option? Potential customers begin to ask, is this the best option? And you want them to say yes. This shift reduces price sensitivity as well. Higher perceived value increases click confidence, which supports expected CTR and placement. Moving along to our fifth pattern, we observed the consistent use of superlatives and authority language. Highly visible ads often frame the business as the best, the top, or the leading option within a category. How many times have you guys seen World's Best Coffee? You know, anybody who likes Elf out there? These words signal confidence and help establish credibility quickly in a competitive results page. Words like top, best, premier, highest, exceptional, these are all frequently used in headlines and descriptions to position a business as a category leader rather than just another option in the results. Even in highly regulated or professional categories, advertisers are reinforcing rank and status by using superlatives. This language also signals authority, whether formally verified or implied. You should always be able to verify it just to maintain, a level of professionalism and trust. Here's a really great example of that. This ad leads with voted #1 aesthetic practice and reinforces that by positioning itself as the top plastic surgeon. So before the potential customer even reads the description, the ad communicates a super clear message. This provider is positioned as a leading authority in the field. That kind of framing helps the ad stand out in a crowded category and earns that click. Superlatives work because they simplify decision making. They establish authority, signaling that the business is trusted or highly regarded. They also create category leadership, positioning the brand above competitors. They reduce comparison friction as well, making it easier for users to choose quickly without evaluating every option. Moving right along, our sixth pattern was the consistent use of direct calls to action. We know all about calls to action, right? Super important lever in any type of marketing, any type of advertising. Um, Highly visible ads don't just describe an offer, right? They clearly tell the user what they can and should do next. This creates a clear path from search to action. Words like call, schedule, get, book, contact appear often in both headlines and descriptions. These verbs move the message from information to action and encourage potential clients to engage immediately and move through the funnel. And an example of this, we have a drive time ad with get approved and shop cars in there. Get and shop would be the operative CTA words in there. These CTAs guide the user toward specific next steps rather than leaving the interaction open-ended. This makes the ad feel a lot more actionable and easier to respond to because people don't really have to think about what to do next, right? They're just told what to do and they can follow that. When ads lack a clear next step, users hesitate and pivot. They can redirect in a matter of milliseconds. But direction, or excuse me, by direct CTAs reduce cognitive friction. When they can kind of automate their next step, they don't really have to think about it. They just click through and move through the funnel. They create momentum and simplify the decision. And higher click likelihood supports expected CTR, which influences placement as well. So it's kind of uh, a snowballing effect. Up to this point, we've been talking a lot about what gets people to click, but the effectiveness of your ad is only as strong as what happens after that click. If a user is interested but has to hunt for a contact form or wait for a callback, that momentum can quickly disappear. That's why tools like booking or scheduling features are so powerful. They remove friction and make it easy for someone to act immediately. So for local IQ clients, this is exactly where our new AI-powered Dash scheduler would come in. It allows businesses to turn that moment of intent when someone clicks the ad into a real appointment or conversation without the back and forth that often slows things down. Taking a look, our seventh pattern we observed was the consistent use of descriptive adjectives. Highly visible ads often use adjectives to quickly frame how a service or product would be perceived. These words help shape the tone and positioning of the offer in just a few characters. When we analyzed the ads, several descriptive adjectives appeared repeatedly. Words like luxury, which we've seen in a couple of different categories, modern, free, trusted show up frequently. These words add quick context and help users understand the type of experience or level of service that they can expect. Example we're seeing here in travel agent advisors. Um, that signal adjective immediately positions the service within a specific tier of the market. Instead of simply describing the service, it signals a premium travel experience before the user even clicks. And users can scan a SERP. They aren't deeply reading, right? We talked about skimming before. We're in a skimmable world now. They're not really absorbing cues. So adjectives like luxury and expert can set expectation instantly without them having to do that deep dive. They tell the user what tier this advertiser occupies, and that tier framing influences click preference. Our eighth and final pattern that we observed was the repeated use of punctuation, which really surprised me. In highly visible ads, punctuation isn't random. It's used intentionally to structure information and make the messages easier to scan. Small symbols can create big improvements in readability. Across the data set, 78% of the 180 ads that we analyzed included punctuation, with the most common elements being ampersands, hyphens, periods, and even plus signs. This suggests that formatting plays a role in how ads are constructed and potentially how they perform. When users scan search results, they don't read linearly. Punctuation creates visual breaks. It improves readability and allows advertisers to stack value points within limited character space. An ampersand condenses, a hyphen is able to separate benefits, and a comma can layer proof. These are small structural choices that can influence clarity in a big way. When we zoom out and look at all 8 patterns together, a clear theme emerges. The ads that earn the most visibility tend to follow similar structural principles. They use language and formatting that make the message easy to scan and easy to understand in a crowded results page. We saw recurring elements like numbers, strong positioning language, clear calls to action, and formatting that improves readability. But the real key takeaway here is that testing is what turns insights into performance. The best approach is to experiment with these elements, identify with what resonates most with your audience, and continue refining from there. Take your top performer, couple top performers, introduce a new variation, and keep the learning cycle going. What we've seen today is that highly visible Google ads follow clear patterns in how they're written and structured. But for many advertisers, the real challenge is understanding how their own ads stack up and where small changes could improve performance. Most campaigns don't need a full rebuild, but they often have hidden gaps in copy, positioning, or structure that quietly limits results. Now, as we move into the Q&A section, you'll see a poll appear on your screen. We're really happy to offer a free, no obligation marketing assessment where our team can review your ads and identify opportunities to improve visibility and engagement. That poll is going to stay up on your screen during the Q&A. If you'd like to take a look at your campaigns with us, just click yes. If you need a little bit to think about it, I'm going to cover some questions from, holy cow, it looks like we got a lot of questions in here. I'll be covering those while you think about that. And like I said, that box will stay up on your screen. All right, let's take a look here. Oh, here's a good one. Which is a better CTA, contact us or request for a quote? I think, I don't want to give you a non-answer here, but I think that this is highly industry-based and very specific to the audience that you're interacting with. Contact us is more of a blanket CTA. You could be contacting a business for any number of reasons. Request for a quote is super specific, right? You know what they are asking you for, and they know what they want from you. So depending on the context, if you're trying to move someone through the funnel intentionally, I would say request for a quote. Contact us is more general and can be used across a variety of different use cases. Let's see. How to incorporate numbers when selling auto or home insurance? I think because, again, these are super specific fields, the audiences are going to require their own different takeaways. I think you can use numbers in any number of ways, right? You can talk about home value. You can talk about, get a quote in 5 minutes or less, set up a test drive in 5 minutes or less. One-click test drive, stuff like that. Doesn't have to necessarily be centered around money or pricing. It can be how many clicks it takes to set up an appointment, how many minutes it takes to get to the dealership, how many minutes it could take to set up a home insurance policy. You got to really think outside of the box when it comes to numbers. There's a lot of opportunities there. Oh, here's another one. Are asterisks, I don't know how to say that in a plural way, allowed in ad copy? I do believe that they are. I would assume that when we're talking about an asterisk, it would be in the context of maybe having some sort of important, how do I say this? To answer your question, yes, I do believe that those can be used in ad copy. What am I trying to say? Oh, disclaimer. If you're trying to disclaim something, right? Like you want to make sure you have all your bases covered legally in something in a claim that you're making, I think that would be the only use case for an asterisk in an ad copy, piece of ad copy that I could think of, but I think that that would be okay. We got a follow-up question from one I've already answered. Let's have a conversation. Is that a good CTA if you're a financial advisor? I personally think that this type of structure for a CTA is passive. You want active. Talk to us today. Usually when the verb comes first, that's the first word in the ad copy, it creates a little bit more urgency than something more passive, such as let's have a conversation. Let's see. How long should you run an ad to get a good reading of results to optimize the next round? That's a great question. I would say at least 2 weeks. Then you have 2 full cycles of, a week. The day of the week that people are seeing an ad can have a major impact on how people are engaging with it. So 2 weeks at least. All great questions in here, you guys. Let's see. How important is diversifying the types of ads like display, performance max, search? I love this question. I think the more diverse you are in um, your ad structure, the better. Because not every part of your audience is going to use the same channel to reach you. So the more you diversify, the wider you're casting your net, right? So utilizing display, performance max, search, social, email, the farther you can spread your different types of advertising, the more likely you are to catch different types of people within your audience, right? And you don't necessarily have to reinvent the wheel with every different channel, right? So you can repurpose copy, you can repurpose graphics that you use, and just reformat it for the channel that you're trying to diversify for. Oh, here's another good one. If all advertisers are using superlatives in ad copy, what is the point of differentiation? So we live in a really concentrated, a really saturated ad market. It's kind of the name of the game right now. Everyone is using superlatives. Everyone is trying to be the best. then maybe that's when you move away from superlatives and start using like numbers, like we were talking about earlier, finding value, a way to convey value that isn't, the best number one. Well, that's a bad example because number one is a number, but I think you get what I'm saying, right? Finding a different avenue, a different way to position your ads that still conveys the value you can provide to a potential customer, without, kind of repeating what all of your what all of your competitors are saying. Does that make sense? All right. I'll do a couple more. I don't want to. Yes, thank you for timing in the chat. We have an incredible amount of questions. So if we don't get to yours, we'd still love to talk with you. You can use the poll, and sign up for, again, a free no obligation assessment with somebody on our team to discuss your ads and how we can improve them. You can also get in touch with me on LinkedIn. You can get in touch with us through any of our channels, and we'll be sure to answer your question. I've lost the question box now. Oh, great, Ethel. I'm glad that answered your question. Let's see. So many good questions. It's hard to pick one. Okay, here's a good one. For the ad descriptions, which do you find performs better? Ads written in normal sentence case or ads where every word is capitalized? This is a fascinating question. As someone who studied journalism, it really irks me to capitalize every word in an ad. I I personally do think that they perform better though when every word is capitalized. Um, I think our brains are programmed in a way to pick up on capitalized words because it initiates a new thought, right? When we're thinking about the way we skim, maybe we're pretending to read a book for book club and we're skimming through a couple of boring chapters. We hop from one capitalized letter to the next to try to skim through that page. You don't want to start in the middle of a sentence, right? So I feel like capitalizing every word in an ad keeps people excited. Um, it keeps them engaged. They don't flit away so quickly. Can we choose which ones to capitalize? Sure, I believe that you can. I don't think that there are any rules around how you word things, except for maybe, like don't use swear words and silly things like that. But what you want to put in your ad is what you want to put. You're just limited by character number. So you can choose which ones to capitalize. All right, guys. I think that's all the questions I'm going to cover. I want to thank everyone so much again for your time. This has been wonderful. Again, I hope to hear from many of you, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks, everybody.